Okay, so Adams' closed-loop control theory is a possible explanation for how we learn movement skills. So a possible explanation for how we learn movement skills, but it also attempts to explain how we adapt movement how we're adapting movement to achieve a goal. So there's two aspects to Adams' closed-loop control theory that you could be asked on in an exam. And we're going to go through both of those, but it's important to note that we could be asked to identify how it can be used to learn movement skills, or how we use motor control to adapt movement once the movement has been initiated. Okay, so first of all we're going to look at Adams' loop theory as a theory of motor control. So this is going to explain how we can adjust movement once the motor program has been initiated. Now, there's three stages to this. The first one is level 1, and that is known as the open loop. Now, what happens, or what Adams proposes, is that we have pre-planned movements or a memory trace. Okay, massive key term in the exam is memory trace. Okay, and the memory trace is basically the equivalent of a motor program. Okay, the memory trace initiates a motor program that we've looked at in previous information processing models. Now, level 1 control, or level 1 open loop, has no modification. So once the motor program has been initiated, there is no modification or adjustment to that movement. So once we set that motor program in place, we can't change it, we can't modify it. Okay, and this is because the movement happens so quickly, because it's usually a ballistic or reflexive movement. Now, because the movement happens so quickly, there's no time, and this is the main reason why we can't adjust the movement, is because there's no time for feedback during the movement. We only receive feedback at the end of the movement, and that is usually in the form of let's change that, at the end of the movement, and that's usually in the form of knowledge of results. And these movements are usually carried out in a stable or predictable environment. Okay, because they're reflexive, we would like to perform these in a situation where we know what's coming or what to expect. Now, if we just go through a quick example, if we've got a stimulus up here, in fact I'll change the colour here, we've got a stimulus which would be a ball coming towards us that we need to catch. Now, the example in the exam that I would use is catching in the slips. Okay, so if you're someone in the slips in cricket, the ball's just been bowled, let's say at 90 miles an hour, the batsman tries to hit it and it just hits the edge of their bat, and you're standing behind the batsman. You're not the wicket keeper, so you're not directly behind the batsman, but you're just behind and to the right of the batsman, so you're there ready to catch it if it does take an edge. Now the ball's taken an edge. We use our perceptual mechanism to make sense of that movement, or make sense of that information coming in. We go into our memory, and our memory trace initiates the motor program, so we find a response, okay, which would be to catch the ball or move our hands into position where we think the ball's going to go. And our action, our motor action, is the output. So we move hands. Now once we've moved our hands into that position and we've got our hands in position, we can't alter or adjust that movement because there's not enough time. That ball is coming at us so fast that there's not time for any feedback during the movement, and we either catch it or we don't.